Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. An important issue regarding Islamic political directives is the status of non-Muslim citizens, especially those non-Muslim citizens who have become part of the Islamic State, because that Islamic State had waged war on a non-Muslim country, and then those non-Muslim citizens became a part of the Muslim empire. Our jurists say that on these non-Muslims shall be called zimmis, and this is a term of the Quran which means that of course that the jizya tax shall be imposed on these zimmis, and they shall live in subservience to the Muslim state. Now, it needs to be understood that there is a special law which is mentioned in the Quran, as per which the Almighty punishes people in the era of His messengers on the basis of the right, falsehood and what is right, because what has to happen in the hereafter on the basis of one's deeds is established in this world through the authority of the messengers, such that people are first communicated the truth, and then if they intentionally deny the truth, they are punished in the times of the messengers of God. They are the foremost addressees of the messengers of God, and they are punished for this deliberate denial. Now, this law is mentioned at a number of places in the Quran. And the Quran says that generally people who were polytheists, they were destroyed by the Almighty, and people who were monotheists, they were allowed to live on their religion except if they were subservient to the Muslim polity. And this is what occurred in the time of the Prophet also. In the time of the Prophet, the people of the book, they were allowed to live on their religion, but they were told that if they do so, then they must be subservient to the Muslim state, and this subservience would be reflected by their paying the jizya tax, and they shall be called zimmis. And this, of course, was something which was confined, which was specific to the era of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as I said, that this is a special law which is mentioned in the Quran, and it cannot be extended beyond the messengers of God simply because it relates to them. So therefore, this verse of the Quran, on the basis of which our jurists think that even today, if non-Muslims they are conquered, then jizya tax shall be imposed on them. This verse specifically relates to the messengers of God, and in this case it relates to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his foremost addressees, who were humiliated. The monotheists among them, they were kept on their religion, but they were told that they must remain subservient to the polity of Islam by being called zimmis and by paying the jizya tax. Today, of course, this law is not applicable. So today, if there is to be some agreement with non-Muslim citizens, then that has to be on the basis of any covenant, of any agreement which is made on them. It could be agreement which is mutually understood between the two parties. So therefore, it is absolutely certain that today, if non-Muslims come under the rule of Muslims by being subdued by a Muslim state, then they shall not be called zimmis. They cannot be termed as zimmis, and the jizya tax also shall not be imposed on them. Another thing which incidentally here must remain clear is that that waging war or waging jihad to punish people because they do not acknowledge the truth and they intentionally deny the truth is something which is related only to the era of the messengers of God. Today, even this cannot take place. Today, if a Muslim country is to wage war against a non-Muslim country, then the only basis for that is that non-Muslim country, even if a Muslim country does that, they have to be guilty of oppression and persecution of their citizens. Then, of course, a Muslim country can attack that country. And if in that case a non-Muslim country becomes subservient to that Muslim country, then, of course, their non-Muslim citizens shall not be called zimmis. They, at best, the best term to use for them is muahids. They will be people with whom a pact shall be signed, of course, in accordance with the international laws and agreements which at that time exist. And as I said, they cannot be called zimmis, and the jizya tax also should not be imposed on them, simply because the zimmi and the jizya tax issue was related specifically to the foremost addressees of the Prophet Muhammad, and indeed to all other messengers of God who came before him. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.